What is going on, YouTube? I am Lamont at large. Today I am at the Woodmere Memorial Park Cemetery here in Huntington, West Virginia. William Walton Petty, September 12th, 1886 to May 13th, 1927. At the time of his death, William lived down in Asheville, North Carolina. He was going to school to be a dentist, and he died at the age of 40 years old from tuberculosis, and he was married at the time. This is Christopher Kent Withers, May 4th, 1989 to June 10, 2007. Chris here went to Huntington High School. He was on the baseball and football teams, and he was on a senior trip. Him and four of his friends went down to Panama City, Florida, and on their way back, they got into a car accident where Chris and his friend Bobby Gleason both lost their lives in that accident. To the sad family, may God comfort you. What an incredible, spirited, and beautiful person Sarah is. I spent summers at the village sharing a cabin with her. Many long conversations, laughter, and comedy routines were had. The power of her spirituality at such a young age was amazing. She was always cracking jokes, but had this amazing ability to translate and discuss matters of faith with ease. I remember her big picture outlook on life. What a special gift she was. My love to you during this difficult time. You are an incredible family. Stephanie Garnett was a graduate of Huntington High School, and at the time of her death, she was a home health care worker. And as you can see right there on the seal, there is a Gift of Life donor medal emblazoned on her stone. She left behind 5 children. Can you imagine 5 kids standing right where I'm at right now, watching their mother be lowered into the ground? 5 little kids. And right now I am walking up on the grave of one Virginia Ruth Egner, better known as Dagmar. She was an old-time Hollywood entertainer, comedic sketch artist. She was born here in West Virginia on November 29th, 1921. She went to high school out here. She went to a business college out here, and also she worked at Walgreens as a sandwich maker. I did not know they used to make sandwiches. I wish they kind of did now because I'm sort of hungry. And she was also a soda jerk. if you don't know what a soda jerk is, I believe it's the person that gets you a Coke or a Dr. Pepper or what have you. Later on, she moved to Long Island with her husband, who was stationed in the military out there, and she got discovered by, I believe, a comedian who worked on Broadway. So she was on a couple Broadway shows, Laughing Room Only, and I heard of this one, Burlesque. Later on after that, moving to California, she appeared on NBC's very, very first late night TV show. It was called Broadway Open House, and it was hosted by a comedian by the name of Jerry Lester. Now, she had a role to play. She was going to play the stereotypical dumb blonde, and she got so much attention. I guess pretty much Jerry got a little bit jealous, and he walked off his own TV show. Her salary, I think she got paid like 15 times over what she originally started. I believe she was making almost $1,300 a week, which was very, very good money back in those days. So she had her own show, but unfortunately it only lasted a week because your comedic writer left the show. So after that, she appeared on different TV programs. She worked with the likes of Bob Hope, Milton Berle, and she even worked with Frank Sinatra, Blue Eyes, and they recorded a duet together. And after that, she did television appearances here and there, and I guess she got tired of the Hollywood life, or maybe her career was waning a little bit. She went out to Las Vegas, did some shows out there, so forth and so on. She left there in the 90s, came back to West Virginia, because this is her home, and she died October 9th, 2001, and in 2006, she was brought in and elected into the West Virginia Broadcasting Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the one and only Dagmar. This right here is the Qualls grave, and this right here is Penny K. Qualls, February 20th, 1947 to March 11th, 1960. Penny was babysitting, I'm assuming for a neighbor that she's babysitted for before, along with her cousin Linda. And the gentleman who they were babysitting for, when he came back, he shot and killed Penny and Linda. I've tried to look up this story, and as you can see, the weather is starting to come in, and I just can't find anything. The only thing I found was a newspaper article online where the headline said it just happened, but the print is too small and too blurry for me to see. This girl up here on the horse, Hannah Elizabeth Roseberry George, she died in a car accident 2 months after she turned 15. This here's the grave of Officer Charlie Ball. He was a police officer. He worked for the Huntington Police Department. And on November 10th, 1923, they had gotten a call of a woman being threatened by a railroad employee down at the train station here. And he went down there to apprehend the suspect, and the man shot and killed him right there at the train station. However, I find this grave very odd. You tell me. You tell me if you think this is kind of odd. Look at this. What is that? I mean, it's quite apparent, but... I guess it's all fascinating at the end of the day, right? Coincidentally enough, two of Charlie's family members who were also in law enforcement were shot and killed in the line of duty. He had a brother-in-law, Lon Castle, who was an officer with the Ashland, Kentucky Police Department. He was killed a couple years later after Charlie. And Charlie had a brother named George who was an officer with the Prohibition Department of West Virginia. And he was also shot and killed in the line of duty. I wish I could get into this mausoleum right here, because there's a grave in here of a man named Okie Chambers, and he was an officer in what is now would be fish and wildlife and gaming. And I guess he happened to come upon a still, which of course is when people back in those days, they make their own stills. That's where they make their moonshine. And whoever owned the still shot and killed him. Yeah, let me tell you, Prohibition was a weird time in this country because alcohol was illegal and people were still making it and selling it. People still had bars that were commonly referred to as speakeasies, where, like, you know, you go to a secret place and, oh yeah, we have alcohol, just shh, you know, keep it on the low. That's why they called it speakeasy. So when you would talk, you wouldn't be too loud to alert neighbors of people that were, you know, drinking too much and getting drunk. Just a fascinating bit of history that is intertwined in our nation's history. This is the grave of Inez Booth. She was murdered on January 5th, 1958. She was at home and somebody broke into her house. Now, she did have a shotgun, but I guess when she approached the person that was breaking into her home, they just started stabbing her, so she wasn't able to defend herself. I'm assuming they disarmed her and they killed her. There's not much information about this murder online. That was all that I found. She's buried next to her husband here, Melvin. I don't know if he was home at the time or what. This year's Aubrey Russell Hicks Jr. All it says online is that he was stabbed to death by a man named Jesse Hatfield. Now, I do not know if it's the Hatfield, of course, from the Hatfield and McCoy family rivalry. But when you're looking up information on the fly about these old murders that occurred, sometimes the information is readily available, sometimes it's not. And, you know, I find myself oftentimes spending hours and hours and hours. I've been here about 7 hours and exhausted, to say the least. And it's very frustrating sometimes when I'm not able to, you know, get the information that I want. However, I do love doing these videos and will continue to do them from time to time, as long as time allows me, as long as I'm in good health. You know, because walking up and down these hills right here while, you know, still trying to work out, trying to, you know, keep from living a sedentary lifestyle, oftentimes it could be quite taxing on your body, to say the least. People don't want to know this little fact, but people that work at cemeteries, oftentimes when they're walking, you know, there's a whole thing about don't walk on people's graves because it's disrespectful. However, if you are a cemetery worker and you're like a landscaper, you will try to walk on the stones as often as you can, because you walk on the grass, you know, day in and day out, it takes a toll on your feet, trust and believe. I don't walk on the stones because I'm not in cemeteries as often as they are walking on the grass, but people know what I'm talking about. Okay, guys, that concludes the video. Live but not live, but still alive by the grace of God. I'm at the Woodmere Memorial Park Cemetery here in Huntington, West Virginia on this gorgeous day. Skies are clearing. I'll catch up with you all in the next vlog. Peace out.